Good morning, and you are welcome to Mining for the Truth, the process of digging to discover the undiluted doctrines of Christ. My name is Joseph Atta, Ten Church of Christ. We're going to continue on a different episode. Topic is living for Jesus. Living for Jesus. And the theme is the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes. Yeah, I've spoken about episode 1 and episode 2. So, episode 1, I spoke about blessed are the poor in spirit. We continued yesterday and then today. Now, today's episode is episode 3. Episode 3. And it is found in Matthew 5 verse 3. Matthew 5 verse 5. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the meek. So today we're going to discuss Matthew 5 verse 5. Now let's read. Of course, I have two Bibles here. So I'm going to read them. Okay. So Matthew 5 verse 5. Now I'm reading from the 21st century. We're going to compare something here. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. They will. So the word there is will. Now let's go to the ESV, English Standard Version, and see something here. On the same Matthew 5 verse 5. It reads, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth in the ESV. And then New King James Version. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. So we have will and shall. Of course, I'm going to explain. So basically, you're welcome to the teaching. I welcome all my listeners, my viewers, those who comment, Australia, Dubai, USA, Ghana, everywhere in the world. You are welcome. Okay, so the third beatitude says, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Matthew 5, verse 5. Now, when I read both both chapters and verse from the different books or the different Bibles, being the New King James and then the ESV. The ESV is using shall. The New King James is using will. And that's how we said the Bible. At times people will be contemplating. I will take you through English, some small English, and then you understand. Now, both will and shall are all auxiliary verbs. Both will and shall are all auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are verbs used to describe the futurity. The future. So they are verbs used to describe the future. An auxiliary being used as a verb or noun. So it can function as a verb or as a noun. The auxiliary. It is also used to offer support. To offer or provide support. That's the meaning of the auxiliary. So we say auxiliary verb. So once again, the New King James is using will, of course. And then the ESV is using shall. And I've said that both will and shall are all auxiliary verbs. They are verbs used to describe the futurity or the future. An auxiliary could be used as a noun or as an adjective, yeah, could be used as a noun or an adjective. Yes, auxiliary. Sometimes can function for a noun. Sometimes can also function for an adjective. It means to offer support. That's all. To offer support or to provide support. All right. So I've explained why the King James is using the will and then the ESV is using the shall. I suppose the consciences are clear now. So we move on. From an earthly point of view, it appears that strong, pushy, dominant people are the ones who climb to the top of the social ladder. Yes. If you are meek, it means they classify you as someone who is timid and coward. So therefore, you cannot exert. You show no agility. You are so timid. You are so calm. So therefore, if you are not that assertive, there's no way you can climb to the top. So basically, even in our society, in the whole world, people who are calm, I would say introverts, who are that shy, are normally classified as people who don't make it in life. But we will see what Jesus is referring to Meek in Matthew 5 verse 5. So is Jesus contradicting the fact? Is he contradicting the fact or not? That unless you are assertive, there's no way you can climb to the top. So why is he saying that blessed are the meek rather, and not blessed are the pride or blessed are the arrogant and others? Now, what meekness is not? I'm still on the introduction. Now, let's see what meekness is not. Meekness is not being proud, arrogant, and ostentatious. Being proud, arrogant, and ostentatious. I repeat, what meekness is not. So I will use some two paragraphs to explain what meekness is not. Meekness is not being proud. Meekness is not being arrogant. Meekness is not being ostentatious. The word ostentatious is an adjective. It means intended to attract or impress others. When you find the word ostentatious, it means intended to attract or impress others or the audience. So meekness is not about impressing the audience. Meekness is not about being arrogant. Meekness is not about being pride or proud. So there's no proudness, arrogant, ostentatious in meek. We are looking at what meekness is not. It does not try to justify itself. Meekness does not call for attention to itself, does not justify itself. It does not react angrily when criticized. So someone who is meek, when you criticize him or her, he or she remains calm. He's not going to react. Meekness is not about being haughty. Of course, haughty is an adjective. Haughty is an adjective meaning proud or arrogant. Haughty. Meekness is not haughty or self-righteous. It claims no righteousness of its own. So someone who is meek always sees himself as a sinner and non-righteous. It is not hungry for glory. Meekness is not hungry for glory. Remember, I said that it is not proud, arrogant, ostentatious. And adjective ostentatious means that to impress the others or the audience. So here we're saying that meekness is not hungry for glory and praise. And it gives all the glory and praise to God. Point 2 of what meekness is not. You are still on the introduction. Meekness does not sulk. I mean displeasure. When we say sulk, we are making it can be used as a verb or noun. In fact, today I'm utilizing a part of speech so well. Sulk. It can be used as a noun or a verb. We mean displeasure. Meekness does not feel sorry for itself. It does not get upset with difficult people. So when you are so awkward, when we say awkward, we mean someone who is difficult to deal with. Meekness has no problem with this person. Meekness never holds a grudge and never takes vengeance. Meekness leaves vengeance to God. Jesus was and is still the greatest example of gentleness the world has ever known. So I think I've elaborated enough about what meekness is. Now let's look at the objectives and synopsis of the studies. 1, or A. What is the blessed are the meek? And then B. What is meekness? So A. Jesus is saying that living under the rule of God and drawing on God's power enables us to be gentle, cool-headed, and strong-hearted in the face of the most trying circumstances. Now, trying circumstances is making reference to oppression, suppression, or afflictions. Trying circumstances. When you are under a test, it's what we can say or classify as trying circumstances. When you have the power, but you are being oppressed, and because of God, you might be low. It's a trying circumstance. Or even when you are in trouble, it is also a form of trying circumstance. The Greek word that is translated meek is praus, P-R-A-U-S. The meek word, we are looking at the Greek origin. The Greek word translated as meek is called praus, which means mild or gentle. Now I'll take you to engineering first on mild. When you go to classification of engineering materials, we have what we call steel or plain carbon steel. Now we have low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, and then high carbon steel. Low carbon steel is also called mild steel. Why is it called mild? Because it is soft. So mild means soft. Even in engineering, we continue. So we say that the Greek word for meek is praus, which means mild or gentle. Now let's see the implications in the ancient times. Now in the ancient times, praus was used to describe a soothing medicine. Soothing medicine. Gentle breeze, or the temperament of an animal or of a wild animal that had been tamed. So gentle or mild, being called praus in the ancient times, was used to describe a soothing medicine, gentle breeze, or the temperament of a wild animal that had been tamed. I will explain soothing. Of course, it is still an adjective. We mean comforting or affording physical relief. So comforting, calmness, or gentle is the word or is the adjective soothing. That's why we said soothing medicine, comforting medicine, affording physical relief medicine, a medicine which is gentle. And then we also made mention of temperament. A temperament is referring to character or personality. Of course, it is a noun, but it's referring to character or personality. Even in marriages, people have time. In fact, they waste time to study temperament before they marry. I don't believe in that. I have never read anything on temperament. Neither will I waste my time to read anything on temperament. None is perfect. This is what you must know. None is perfect. And even the one that you have studied, to see that he or she is patient. Remember, as a human being, you ought to change. So he or she can change based on circumstances. But initially, you wasted time to attend lectures and counseling, Bible classes on temperament. So you have seen that the man that I'm going to marry is so patient. But after marriage, or at some point, he got so angry. So to be Joseph Father, I know that every human being is subject to change, even within a minute. Within 1 minute, someone can decide about 4 or 5 to 10 times. I'm going, I'm no go. I'm going, I'm sitting, I'm going, then he's contemplating or she's contemplating. And why won't I waste time to say the temperament? Because when you want to marry, you pray to God first. And when God gives you a gift, you do not question him. So based on this, that's why I don't waste time to study any temperament. So far as the person is coming from God, that's all. When she's angry, you pray to God to calm her down. Period. He gave her to you or him to you. So when you are in trouble, then you go to him. Remember, God gave Rebecca to Isaac when there was a problem of barrenness for 20 years after their marriage. Isaac did not blame his father Abraham, the mother Sarah, the wife Rebecca, or the in-laws. He didn't blame God. He prayed to God, the one who gave him the wife. The source of his partner was where he went. This is my belief and then my argument that I will not waste my time to study any temperament that she's angry, she's this and that. In fact, I can't even define a temperament and I don't know the types. I have no business in them. So here we're saying that mild and gentle in the ancient times was used to describe an animal which was wild and had been tamed down. When we say tamed, we mean controlled. Tamed, we mean controlled. Even in education, they are saying that when the children are in Form 1, or let's say in the lower primary, it's when you can tame them. It means it's when you can instill discipline in them. When they grow, then this cannot be done. So we move on. At least we have seen that the prowess was used to describe a soothing medicine, gentle breeze, or the temperament of a wild animal that had been tamed down. I think I've explained the soothing, the temperament, and then the tamed. So we move on. Now, it was also used to describe a powerful horse that had been broken for riding or working in the fields. So we are all aware that. Now, naturally, I was told somewhere that the horse is so sad. A horse being an animal is sad when you refuse to use it to run. Then I say, wow. So it means that its own purpose on earth or in life is to run, either a race or be seated on for a ride, if I will put it. So the horse is so sad that the master has not been utilizing its purpose on earth. Here, they are saying that describe a powerful horse that had been broken for riding, working in the field. So the horse is no more used to run. When you use it to run, it becomes more aggressive, which is when it is aggressive. But when you refuse to use it to run, it becomes so calm. So calm. And also the horse can be used to plow the field in a form of farming. For example, if you want to cultivate rice, so the plow is hung by the horse and then it pulls it as it is pulling. Then in a way you are digging the field. So the horse has been refused to use to run and then for working on the field. And this will make it so calm and controlled. And a horse of this nature, even if you want to use it to run. They have to train it because he had been on pension for a while. So he had to do some exercise. Otherwise, you go and lose the race. All right. So when Jesus said that blessed are the meek, he was not referring to, or he was not talking about weak and coward or spineless coward. The word meek does not suggest that someone is coward. So blessed are the meek is not about being weak or spineless coward. In biblical languages, or in Bible language, meekness is strength grown mellow. Weakness is strength grown mellow. So calm. So calm. The person is so strong. But no matter how you push him or her to the wall, he or she will never retaliate. Strength grown mellow. Strength grown mellow. You force the person. He is not going to counter any attack. She is not going to counter any attack. So, in biblical language, meekness is strength grown mellow. The modern idea that meekness is weakness is something new to us. Until 2 centuries ago, the word meek carried a positive connotation. Now let's look at what is meekness. Now go to Galatians 5 verse 23. I will give you about 6 definitions of meekness. I will try. So the first is that, go to Galatians 5 verse 23. Galatians 5. Okay. So, gentleness and self-control, against such there is no law. So, it starts by saying gentleness. So, here we say that number 1, gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit. So, gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit. Galatians 5 verse 23. Now, point 2. Of course, now we have seen that meekness is the same as gentleness. So I'm going to, they are just synonyms, so I'm going to use them anyhow. Now, point 2. Meekness is calmness amid chaos. Meekness is calmness amid chaos. Go to Genesis 34, verse 5. Let's read and see. Meekness is calmness amid chaos. So Genesis 34 verse 5. Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. So Jacob held his peace until they came. Now repeat the whole thing. Now, Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter, Dinah, but his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. He held his peace until they came. Of course, I'm going to explain. Now, here we are aware that if you go to the verse 2, Shechem has raped Dinah. And later he claimed that he's in love, or he was in love with Dinah. So he wanted to marry her. But Jacob had heard the news. Or he heard the news. And the Bible is saying that he held his peace. I'm going to explain he held his peace. He held his peace. He held his peace until the sons came. Now, the phrase, Jacob held his peace, suggests mild and gentle. The phrase, Jacob held his peace. So 1, suggests mild and gentle. I'll come to it again. Now, mild and gentle are all mild and gentle. Yeah, so you can call them as an adjectives. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure. Mild and gentle. So the adjectives mild and gentle suggest soft, elastic, and then humble in spirit. So these are what you must know. Mild and gentle are called adjectives, suggesting soft, elastic, and humble in spirit. So Jacob was soft, he was elastic, and he was humble in spirit. He held his peace as a phrase is making reference to mild and gentle. We move on. Now, flexible. The word flexible is a synonym for elastic. I said that Jacob was mild, he was soft, elastic, and humble in spirit. So we're trying to explain the word elastic. The word elastic, of course, still being an adjective. Today I'll be using these adjectives and verbs and nouns a lot. Now, the word flexible is etymologically from the Latin word. Is it Latin? A Latin word, flexibilis. Flexibilis. So flexible is from the Latin word flexibilis, which means to bend or to curve. So the word elastic means flexible, and flexible from the Latin word flexibilis, means curve or bend. So elastic is equal to flexible, which is also equal to soft. Something you want to bend and curve must be soft, otherwise you cannot bend it. All right, now I'm still on why Jacob held his peace. Now he had two sons, Simeon and Levi, and even in the verse 5 it is saying that he was waiting for them because they were with his livestock in the field. If you want, you can say on the field. Fine. So Simeon and Levi. Now, while he held his peace, one. Now, in the ancient Middle Eastern cultures, brothers had greater responsibilities to care for their sister than their parents. You see, in biblical studies, some will say that Jacob was coward. He was afraid. That's why he waited for his sons. Fine. I mean, it could be another point. But my point here, I will give you two. One, I said that in the ancient Middle Eastern cultures, male sons or the males, they were solely responsible to protect their sisters than their own parents. Now we see this with the Indians. So this is the point one. I'll come to point. This is the point. If you go to India right now, the male sons, or the firstborn being the male son, he controlled the whole family. In fact, the father will always rest. In case of any misunderstanding between the sister and any other person, the son goes to face the person, while the father will relax. They are obeying the same principles here. So I'm saying that in India, the wives or the mothers, they value their sons sometimes even than their own husbands, because they follow the Asian cultures that the son is responsible for taking care of the children, especially the females. You dare not to touch a sister, or the brother will come and then fight with you or cause you harm. So based on this, that's why Jacob held his peace and then waited for Simeon and Levi. This does not make him a coward. Of course, you can say he was a coward. Anyway, of course, you can say it. But to me, and from what I've studied from the Bible, number one, the sons were supposed to go and handle this. Now, point two, he was gentle. As I said already, he was gentle. He was gentle. So point one, his sons were supposed to go and then take care of the situation because they were responsible in their culture than even the parents. So the sons will have to speak first before the father, or he had to wait for them and have a general meeting with them. He could not decide on his own based on the culture. And of course, as a parent, you're supposed to train your son. As a father, you're supposed to train your son to become the next of kin to you. If you are a worker, you are owning a company, you are a banker, you are a king, you to train him to become who you are. So you must respect him. You respect his decisions. You are going to train him. You train him as your own brother than a son. Okay, so I think I'm done with that. So we said that he was gentle. Now, gentleness is the ability to stay calm in difficult or dangerous situation. Why was Jacob gentle? Gentleness is the ability to stay calm in difficult or dangerous situation. In fact, Jacob was in a more serious situation because what the prince did, Shechem did to Dinah, was abominable on the land. No one was going to marry her because she was not a virgin. In the ancient Israel or the Jews, you marry as a virgin. Always have been saying this here through my teachings. And now have been defiled. And this goes with abuse. Physical struggle. And the whole land will hear about this. So which man is going to marry her? You see? And Jacob had to he had to be calm. He had to hold until the sons came. That's why we're saying that he was gentle, being able to exercise calmness in or amid chaos, misunderstanding, or troubles. Now, intelligence is knowing that being neatly or nicely dressed. Okay, intelligence is comprehending that it's not being nicely or neatly dressed. So as I'm here, don't see me as a gentle person. No. So gentleness is not about wearing a suit, so many pens in your pocket, blue, black, red, green, and others. With your tie or bow tie, nice shoe, nice trouser, you have tucked in with a very nice belt. And then how this guy will be walking. Step by step. So nice. Then they classify him by the whole world as he's a gentleman. So the whole world is wrong. As I'm saying that if you need wisdom, ask God in the Bible. James 1 verse 5. So gentleness in the Bible is not defined as the word is blindly defined or has defined. So gentleness here is not about posh dressing, wearing good clothes, better accessories. No. But rather, we're saying that it's the ability to stay calm in difficult or dangerous situation. All right, we move on. Now, point 3 of what is meekness. Meekness is kindness in the face of hostility. Now, let's go to Hebrews 12 verse 2. So kindness, I said kindness. Meekness is kindness in the face of hostility. Hebrews 12, verse 2. Hebrews 12, verse 2, sorry. I'm there. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Despising the shame, endured the cross, despising the shame. You can imagine a king. Now, in the olden days, thieves were supposed to be killed or hanged on the cross. So Christ, a king who reigns now, was considered a thief, despising the shame. And then he endured the cross. The cross was meant for thieves. That's why we're saying that meekness is kindness. He showed them compassion. Christ showed his killers and his accusers compassion. Meekness is kindness in the face of hostility. They were so hostile with him. It is self-control that comes only from a walk with God. Now, there's a philosopher called Aristotle. He defined prowess, meekness, as strength under control. So Aristotle, even he not being a Christian, being a pagan, he defined prowess, we mean meekness, as strength under control. Strength under control. That's why I said that gentleness is the ability to stay calm in difficult and dangerous situations. Okay, so we move on. And of course, you can see from Hebrews 12 verse 2 that Jesus was an example of strength under control. Okay, yes. He showed the real meaning of strength under control. That being a king, he permitted his accusers to say all sorts of things on him. They spitted on him. They did a lot. And then he had to exercise patience. Now, point 4. Now, Jesus implies that gentleness is a badge of honor. Yes, as we saw in Hebrews 12, verse 2. True strength is not found in aggression. So, true strength is not found in aggression. It is found in gentleness. It is found in gentleness, not in aggression. Once again, we are saying that when someone is gentle, it's not by being neatly dressed. So this is what you must know. The girls who, I want to marry a gentleman, I want to marry a gentleman. You see, they don't learn. So they speak anyhow. A gentleness, maybe they are defined from Bible, from the normal dictionary. No. Gentleness is someone who has strength, but has chosen to cover it. All right. So gentleness is found in, meekness is found in gentleness. So we continue by saying, only with the help from the Spirit of God that we can love our enemies, pray for those who persecute us, and return good for evil. That's all. All these are by virtue of having some meekness in you. Because if there's no meekness, anyone who is proud pays evil with evil. But when you are gentle in spirit, you pay evil with good. Now, point 5 of what is meekness. Now, go to, I will not read everything, but you go to Matthew 21, verse 6 to 10. Matthew 21, verse 6 to 10. Zechariah 9, verse 9. Okay, let me see if I can read Zechariah 9, verse 9. Zechariah 9, verse 9. Zechariah 9, verse 9. And I've used it in my previous teachings before. Zechariah 9, verse 9. Or you can also go to Matthew 21, verse 4 and 5. Okay, so let me read the Matthew 24, 21 verse 4 and 5. Matthew 21. But we have the same thing. Matthew 21 verse 6 to 10. Zechariah 9 verse 9. And then Matthew 21 verse 4 and 6. 4 and 5, sorry. This was done so that it might be fulfilled that was spoken by the prophet, saying, tell the daughter of Zion, behold, your king comes to you, gentle and sitting upon a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. Please, I will try and then find a Zechariah for you. So someone might not think that I'm just... Very good. Zechariah 9 verse 9. Very good. So we are going to prove what was said in the prophet. So Zechariah 9 verse 9. Zechariah, where are you? Zechariah 9 verse 9. Zechariah. Okay, so 9 verse 9. I read. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he. Humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. Then we have the parallel thing in Matthew 21, verse 4 and 5. So you even go to Matthew 21 verse 5 and let's see. It says, behold, your king comes to you gentle. So the King James here is using gentle. And then the ESV is using humble. They are all the same. So King James, the New King James is saying gentle, and then the ESV is saying humble. They are the same. All right. No, so here we're saying that on the Sunday, I'm trying to paraphrase it. On the Sunday, before Jesus was to be killed, he went to Jerusalem. A whole king. If today, then he had to be accompanied by, the cars and sirens and others. But he rode on the back or at the back of a donkey. That's all. And they were shouting, Hosanna, son of David. Blessed is he who comes to you in the name of the Lord. They said a whole lot, but the meekness here is that he went there by riding a donkey. That's all. They put some palm branches and others. Because he was gentle, he went there in a sober manner, not being carried by his apostles or the disciples, but rather he rode on a bank of a donkey. So, as I said in Zechariah, he's saying that, see, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey. See, your king comes to you, gentle. You can say humble. The ESV is saying humble. The New King James is saying gentle. They are the same, please. So Jesus was a perfect example or perfect model of gentleness. Now, point 6. Let's go to Isaiah 53, verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before its shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. So Jesus, when even on trial, here Jesus was on trial, he did not defend himself. Jesus did not defend himself against his accusers. That's what the Bible is describing him, that he was so quiet. He kept mute and then endure. So meekness is endurance. Meekness or gentleness is endurance. Of course, he could have called about 7,200 soldiers, angels, to come and then kill. Or in fact, he could have simply converted them into stones and statues, because he created them. Jesus was part of the creation, the Godhead. Genesis 1 verse 1. So he was there until everything was created. John 1 verse 1 to 5. He could have turned them into statues, but he has to remain calm. He did not even curse them. Now, let's see what he told his father concerning what they were doing to him. Luke 23 verse 34. Let's see his response upon all what they were doing to him. Let us see his response. Luke 23 verse 34. Yes, I am there. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And they parted his clothing and cast lots. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Even Jesus Christ did not accuse his accusers. He didn't curse them. Rather, he prayed to his Father to pardon on their behalf, because they were ignorant. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't also understand what they were doing. In fact, I always say that Satan is not sensible. Satan is sensible. If he was sensible that by killing Christ, he will become a king, there was no way he was going, he will kill Christ. And remember that Satan never knew that Jesus was a king and is a king. He never knew. If he knew that by killing him, he is going to rule over him being the Satan, he would never have done that. That's why we're saying that his mannequins there were all ignorant. They didn't know what they were doing. They never knew. Everything was hidden. That's why they did so. Okay, so conclusion. 1. Again, Jesus flips the standards of the word upside down by saying, blessed are the meek. Now, throughout history, people have idolized heroes who conquer by might. They conquer by might. They come in full army, prepared, with their tanks, the guns, and maybe with the bows and arrows, spear, shield. So we say that throughout history, people have idolized heroes who conquer by might, who stubbornly refuse to surrender, and who fight to the death to accomplish their goals. People have rallied around leaders who beat their chests and roar the same as lions to proclaim their prowess. Such leaders who are arrogant and proud do not have an ounce of gentleness in them. They have not even minute gentleness in them. We're saying that gentleness is kindness in the face of hostility. When someone is so hostile, we don't counterattack. We show the person forgiveness, and by that there is peace. Now, point 2 on the conclusion. Go to Isaiah 2 verse 4. Isaiah 2 verse 4. Isaiah 2 verse 4. He shall judge between the nations and shall decide disputes. for many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Okay, so point two, we saying that why does God ask us to be nice to people who hate us? Is it because he knows that love begets love and hatred begets hatred, or violence produces more violence and war leads to more war? The Spirit of the Lord is transforming us into gentle people who make peace in society. We don't show meekness because someone is going to love us back, no. But we show meekness to ensure peace in the society. People who live under the rule of God will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. That's why the book is saying that nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for any war. Now I'm going to explain the plowshares and then the pruning hook. It's one you're going to understand Isaiah 2 verse 4. Now plowshares refer to sharp steel wedge that cuts loose the top of layer of a soil, or the top layer of a soil. So we're saying that they're going to convert their weapons rather for digging the soil. The weapon is meant to kill. The weapon is meant for killing, but rather they have converted it into something that they can use it to plow the field for cultivating crops. 2, pruning hook. I'm trying to explain the key words in the Isaiah 2 verse 4. Now, a pruning hook refers to long-handled saw with curved blade at the end, and sometimes a creeper used to prune small trees. So you see that the end is like in this form. It is bent. An arc is bent, and it is so sharp. Sometimes they use it to cut cocoa and coconuts. And also, it also serves as a sharp object for pruning. When we say pruning, we mean to dress the plant or the tree so that it can grow and then produce more. Air can even pass through it. Okay, so when you have a palm tree, which is so bushy, then use the pruning hook to prune it, to reduce the branches, and then sometimes the weed grown on it. At times, the tree is so long, so there's no way you can climb. So you use the pruning more or less like a sickle to prune it from above. So here, their spears and their weapons are being utilized in Isaiah 2 verse 4. 1, for plowing the land, and then 2, for pruning. By this, war has ceased. This is reference to meekness, being reasonable, to convert your strength to forgiveness. So you're going to use your strength rather to forgive than to retaliate. Now, point 3 of my conclusion. 2 Corinthians 10 verse 1. Let's see what Paul is saying. 2 Corinthians 10 verse 1. Now I, Paul, myself appeal to you by the meekness and gentleness of Christ. By the meekness and gentleness of Christ, who in presence am lonely among you, but being absent, I am bold toward you. Meekness and gentle. So Paul addressed the church in Corinth, being Church of Christ. the meekness and gentleness of Christ. He encouraged the Christian or the Christians in Colossus to clothe themselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, and to forgive each other, as God had forgiven them. Colossians 3 verse 12 and 13. Colossians 3 verse 12. Let me read it. 3 verse 12 and 13. Therefore put on as the elect of God, holy and beloved, a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, verse 18, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If anyone has a complaint against any, even as Christ forgave you, so you should. So also should you. He said, clothe yourselves. He's telling us that we should. To clothe yourself means what? To cover ourselves with compassion, with kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and forgiveness. This is what a Christian must have. You wear this as a cloth. So in your appearance, your behavior to the world, they must see this in you. Now point 4. 1 Peter 3 verse 15. Of course, as I sit here, I'm a Christian and I attend Church of Christ. And normally, I'm confronted why I don't celebrate Christmas, why I don't pay tithes, why I don't play instruments, why I don't believe in instrumental music in worship, or why we don't use instrument to worship, why we don't clap. A whole lot. This is a confrontation. The person is not coming to contend, but rather the person is just coming to have an argument with you. I just say, I don't respond to that. If you're coming to study with me, that one I'll be ready. But to argue unnecessary with me, there's no way I will mind you. That doesn't mean that I fear you or I don't know. But your motive of the questioning will lead to argument and maybe even a quarrel. As a Christian, we don't behave like that. So if you come to me for Bible studies, that you say, Father, why don't you celebrate Christmas? Go to my page and then you say there that I have vividly taught why Churches of Christ don't celebrate Christmas. However, we have some Christians who secretly celebrate Christmas in their homes. I don't care. It could be a pastor, the preacher, elder, whoever they are. I don't care. But I know that my belief does not support Christmas because it is not anywhere in the Bible. There's no single one Bible quotation in the Bible to justify that Christ was born on December 25th. There's no one can prove. Therefore, we do as the Bible says, and then we move on. All right. So here we're saying that the Apostle Paul says, now you go to 2 Peter, 1 Peter 3 verse 15, and then we move on. In case you're confronted to explain why you do what you do, let's see how Peter taught us to approach it. But sanctify Christ as Lord, God in your hearts, and be ready always to give a defense to everyone who asks you, to anyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, yet with meekness and fear. The fear there means humble. So as I was saying, if I'm confronted, why you don't do this? By meekness, you should answer in meekness and in humility. Do it with gentleness and respect, please. That's what 1 Peter 3 verse 15 is saying. Now, point 5 of our conclusion. Now, true strength comes from entrusting ourselves to God, who judges justly. True strength comes from entrusting ourselves to God, who judges justly. Our accusers may call us weak when we do not retaliate, but in reality, non-retaliation demonstrates strength under control. Non-retaliation, it demonstrates strength under control. So when you are confronted and you do not retaliate, they will call you weak. Please don't worry. True strength is by not retaliating. Living for Jesus gives us the strength that comes from God. It is strength under control. Now, by summary, meekness is strength under control. I've been saying. And we're going to look at two people that meekness is strength under control, or meekness is power under control, where you have the power to do something but you have refused. Now, in the Old Testament, we have only one person. If you go to Numbers 12 verse 3, Moses was described as the meekest on earth. Moses, he was described as the meekest on earth. This is to exhibit that meekness is power under control. He was leading the Israelites, so he had the power given to him by God. But he was described in Numbers 12 verse 3 that he was the meekest on earth. So that's one. Now, point 2. Christ described himself as gentle and lowly. Matthew 11 verse 29. Jesus Christ described himself as gentle and lowly. Matthew 11 verse 29. Based on that, I thank you for your time, for joining me today. We are done with episode 3. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the meek. So, I will see you again tomorrow, God's willing. Same time, between 10 to 1 p.m. So I can start somewhere by 11, so that we'll continue with the episode 4 in Matthew 5 verse 6. So today, as I said, the episode was 3. Blessed are the meek. Matthew 5 verse 5. And if you read the Bible, as I read earlier, I said that the New King James will say, for they will inherit the earth. But when I read the ESV, it said, for they shall inherit the earth. And I said that both will and shall are auxiliary verbs. And an auxiliary verb is a verb used to describe the futurity or the future. So please, if you find anywhere will and shall, they are synonyms, and they are all from the same branch, and they all point towards the future. So having said that, I say thank you and God bless you for watching. Bye bye.